Hello, my name is Jeffrey Patrone, and on today's episode, we're going to be doing a little bit of a review and a little bit of an exercise in context. Now, previously on the channel, I reviewed William LaRue Weller, I believe, 2018 release. Although I think it's technically called it came out in 2018, but I think it's called the 2019, or it could, I forget the exact of it. But I think that is this situation, although it might be the 2017 release, and which released in 2018. Ignore me. It doesn't matter. That is the context of this. But I previously reviewed this lovely bottle, with a Weller 12, because of course both of them are 12-year-old Weller stock wheated bourbon produced by Buffalo Trace, aged in about the same place, but of course it could be suggested that the barrels that go into William LaRue Weller are better, although I would disagree with that wording of it. But I did that review. It's one of my favorite reviews on the channel. Less polished, less music and whatnot. But it is a nice kind of free-flowing review that I'm quite proud of. And I'm not going to be doing much of that in this review, but I do think it's interesting, the context in which things are made. So this review is entering fall, about, I think, almost a year after, although I am unsure, although a lot of things could fit into that category, but I'll put the date of when the original Weller v. Weller 12 for William LaRue Weller, this is Weller 12. But I, on this fine evening on a Saturday, having made cacio e pepe, a Roman pasta dish, with a little bit of a spin and more herbs and whatnot, basically Roman mac and cheese. But having had that for dinner, I smoked a cigar from Privada Cigar Club. Very excellent. They recommended pairing it with a wheated bourbon, which I did. And as a palate cleanser between the cigar and really going into this whiskey for this review, I had a lime leaf as well as some Bell and Spring sparkling with a twist of lemon. Now, I added a chunk of ice to this whiskey, although it should be noted that this whiskey is bottled at 62.85% alcohol by volume, or 125.7 proof. So even with a fraction of ice that is now just melted into the drink and brought the proof down, it could still be a substantial proof. But yeah, let's engage. Ooh. Now, I have this thing generally when I have a cigar where the peppery notes tend to stand out, and especially after having something like cacio e pepe, where the focus is on pepper in it. Pepe, Sylvia. But it really has brought this tingling sensation first and foremost. But let's backtrack and do what in context I would normally do first, but I wanted to spice things up and just kind of take a blind sip and give you my immediate impression. So, almost like freshly baked cornbread out of the oven, or even still in the oven, where it's just very aromatic, corny, bready, buttery even, custardy. Also almost like an egg custard, or like a quiche almost. Like a gently worn, like a belt that's been sweated on, a leather belt that's been gently sweated on. Like, it goes back to just a lot of traditional flavors with bourbon. Really, I love this. It is something that me and the owner of the Grub Hut, also, who I will sometimes refer to as my stepdad, we both enjoy Weller, him more so than I. He's got an infatuation with Pappy, which, say what you will of that. Whatever source of starch might come to mind, but through that I've interacted with a lot of Wellers over the years, and it's just something that I enjoy. And this is, maybe I've succumbed to that line of thinking, but I would say it is one of my favorite whiskeys that I've ever had, if not just my favorite whiskey. But granted, that is kind of with the assumption and the added weight of said nostalgia and just my connections with getting this bottle, and so on and so forth. And primarily also getting to share with people, and the fact that people have enjoyed it to that extent. And I do hope to continue to share it with people. Caramely, sweet, just friendly. Almost like candy corn, although under the auspice of smoking a cigar, the flavors are almost reminiscent of mezcal. There is a level almost of what I would describe as like burnt agave syrup. Very good, but the pepper, it's just kind of herbal, earthy, yet still just very sweet, very pleasant. Boldly sweet. That time actually reminded me of a rum, the Rum Jam, the gold rum that I have from them that you might have recognized, or you might recall from the Clem video that I put up recently. But it is so good. For full context, it's good, but I don't think it's ever worth paying anything more than the MSRP on. Although, if you're really dedicated, I would recommend, you gotta end up, because unless you get it through happenstance, etc., where you pay MSRP or very near to that from a store, or win it in a lottery, etc., raffle thing, if you might have to pay a little bit over MSRP, but I would not do what I did to get this bottle again, and it's something that I'm fine if I never drink another drop of again. And if it's not for some people, I understand that, but there is a perceived weight to it that I think a lot of people embrace. But I think, from my personal experiences, I've also given it to people that are not in the whiskey scene, that have no connection to it, and it's been like, that's my favorite. Maybe it just really hits into those bourbon notes, specifically like wheated bourbon notes, but it does so at cask strength with a good bit of age on it, 12 years at the youngest. It hits into those and highlights them in such a way where I think it's perhaps designed to pique a beginner's interest. Maybe that could be the case, I don't know. Taste is very subjective, and I think that is the most important context to watch these reviews under. I've been Jeffrey Patron. Have an amazing day. Listen to my podcast. I might stream on Twitch. I don't know. I keep promising that I'm going to do that, and then I never do that. Well, it might happen eventually. I have no idea. Bye. Listen to my podcast. Nothing bad has ever happened on my podcast. Listen to my podcast. Brian David Gilbert, please come on my podcast. Nothing bad has ever happened on my podcast.